And welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and what makes a commander popular? I have had my own theories over the years. It's one of these topics that I tend to maybe obsess over a little bit. I talk about surprisingly unpopular commanders a lot. I also, from time to time, I haven't really made a video about it, but from time to time will talk about what I think makes a popular commander. I think I made a video last year talking about surprisingly popular commanders still, so commanders that are still hanging around after all these years. I also made a video about commanders that were never meant to be commanders. In other words, they weren't printed in commander sets and they weren't in the era of everything's a commander now, and how it's surprising how popular they are. So it's a, maybe I should write a thesis on it or something. I'm going to explore it a little bit here again today, and maybe together, you and I, with everyone answering in the comments, which I'm sure there will be a lot of that, we can figure out what actually makes for a popular commander. So of course, as usual, I'm on EDH Rec, I'm looking at the popular commanders, and I'm trying to figure out if there's some sort of pattern here, right? I'm going to cover the top 30 here, the top 30 commanders currently on EDH Rec, and try to see if we can figure out some sort of pattern here, okay? Now, I've had a lot of people over the years tell me, and whenever I talk about surprising commanders, and I just did it in my biggest surprises video where I was talking about the commanders that I'm really shocked they're not more popular because I thought they were going to be. And one of the ones was Tegwyl. And I was surprised that it was so much less popular than Alela. And I got a lot of comments talking about how Alela was the face commander for the precon. I hear that argument all the time. It's precon commanders are always going to be more popular. I actually don't know why, honestly. I mean, obviously people are going to run out and buy the precons, sure. But I have specifically heard the EDH Rec guys talk about how they don't put precon lists on there. So if someone runs out and buys the precon, that's not included in these numbers. What's included in these numbers is original lists. So that means that people are going out buying the precons, swapping out a few cards, and then posting that online to then be used in the data, right? I guess. Is that what's happening here? Because if someone is buying the precon and then just completely changing the deck using the face commander and then swapping out every single, or like 90% of the cards, then it really doesn't matter that it's precon anymore, right? Because you're just building an original deck. So the it's a precon argument doesn't apply there. So I don't know. It's a little confusing for me. I will just say, again, looking at the top 30 commanders, 11 are precon commanders, the face commanders for the precons. That is a pretty good chunk of the 30 most popular commanders in the format. Just in general, as far as printed in a commander set, 17. That would be the biggest number here. Of the top 30 commanders, over half of them were printed in actual commander sets, which is not surprising at all. But of course, having 13 of them not be printed in commander sets is a little surprising. Again, of the era where we are not only printing precon commanders, all of that, but also printing commanders for exactly commander. Obviously every legendary creature that comes out now is meant to be played in commander. I would say the only one in the top 30 that wasn't necessarily meant to be in that situation was Krenko, which is the 7th most popular commander in the format. However, I have had people say that, yeah, they think it was in that era. Will we ever know? Who knows? We'd have to talk to the designing team or something like that, right? Was Krenko actually meant to be a commander in the commander format when it was printed? Maybe, maybe not. If so, then you could argue that all the top 30 commanders are fitting into that era. Another big one here, as would come to no surprise to anybody, is tribal commanders. 12 that I counted, okay? I counted 12 of the top 30 commanders are tribal commanders. Not a huge surprise, I'm sure. I will point out, though, I did not include Kaalia the Vast, which of course has been one of the most popular commanders in the format since it first came out. It is kind of, you could include it there, you could not. Angel, Demon, and Dragon, sort of. I mean, I didn't include it, so if I included it, we would have 13. I also did not include Chatterfang Squirrel General, which a lot of people probably are doing Squirrel Tribal there, although I would argue there's probably a lot of other options outside of Squirrel Tribal that you could do there. So I didn't even include those two. So if I included those two, now we have 14, which is essentially half. But I mean, obviously, you could have a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Like Shorikai Genesis Engine could be vehicle tribal for some people. I think a lot of people aren't playing it that way, though, right? So just the ones that are absolutely guaranteed to be tribal commanders, I counted 12. Color is a big one as well, obviously. And you're not going to see a lot of monocolored commanders in the top 30. Big surprise, right? 5 color commanders, there are 5. And I actually am kind of surprised it's that low. I think for a while there, because I'm always up on these, I'm constantly looking at what is the most popular commanders in the format. Again, I'm sort of obsessed with it for some reason. There was for a while 3 5-color commanders in the top 6, I think. And there was like 5 color commanders in like the top 20. It's fallen off a little. Obviously, Golos getting banned played a big part in that as well. We still have Kenrith, who is the most popular 5-color commander, the 4th most popular commander in the format. Weirdly enough, Sisay Weatherlight Captain, which was, I believe, in the top 10 for quite a while, has completely fallen off a cliff. I'm not sure why. 53 in the format now. What happened there? I don't know. That was in top 10 for a long time. So maybe people are starting to change. It was very much for a long time, like 5-color commanders were taking over the format. It's fallen off a little. 5 in the top 30. Still pretty good though. 4-color commanders, there's actually 2, of course. Atraxa the most popular commander in the format, but also Aragorn the Uniter still climbing. Again, this I said when Lord of the Rings came out. I'm like, this commander's doing so much. It's so open-ended. We'll get back to that. I thought it was going to be one of the most popular commanders in the format. It's now number 24, and I think it's going to keep on climbing. 3-color commanders is the top. There are 14 3-color commanders in the top 30. So almost half. I think no one's surprised by that. If you polled all the commander players out there and you asked them of the top 30 commanders, what's the most popular, as far as the number of colors, I think most people would guess correctly that it is indeed 3, and it's not even close. 2-color, there are 7. I'm actually surprised it's that low. I thought 2-color and 3-color would be a little closer, but people do tend to want to play more colors. But of course, the higher you get up in the color combinations, the more difficult it gets, the more expensive it gets, especially with those lands. So I think 3-color is the sweet spot for people, where I have access to enough colors that I can do basically whatever I want in a commander game, be it card draw removal, whatever. But also I'm not playing so many colors that it starts to become a real hindrance for me, right? So I think for most commander players, that's sort of the sweet spot, is the 3-color. And monocolored, there are 2. That's right. 2 monocolored commanders in the top 30. And of course, as I mentioned, Krenko being one of them in the top 10. It's been in the top 10. I think it hasn't fallen out of the top 10 for the entire time I've been playing the commander format. It might never fall out of the top 10. It's one of the best aggro commanders ever made. It's one of the best tribal commanders ever made. It's certainly easy to play and easy to build around, which is also, a couple of things that might make it a more, people go after it, why it is so popular in the format. The other monocolored commander, though, is where I'm going to really focus in here, which is Giada Font of Hope. And maybe this commander, because this is one of the most shocking commanders to me ever. This is the 22nd most popular commander in the entire format. 22 in the entire format is Giada Font of Hope. It is more popular than Korvald. Okay? Why is Giada Font of Hope popular than Korvald? By the way, Korvald was the most popular commander in the entire format for a while. This is shocking to me. And, you might be able to make the argument. Again, I'm trying to figure this out. You guys can help me in the comments figure it out. Korvald has become one of those commanders that is like, warning. It's a target right away. You see it in the command zone. And, some people could even make the argument it's a CEDH commander. I believe it's played in CEDH quite a bit. Sure, all of that, you can make those arguments. Okay, but why does that not apply to Yuriko, which is the 3rd most popular commander in the entire format? Right? So the arguments, again, I'm trying to figure this out for myself. Maybe you guys can help me. Yuriko's number 3 certainly is played in CEDH an absolute ton. And again, another comment I've heard from people over the years is, this commander is really, really popular because it's also played in CEDH. So Yuriko's super popular, number 3 in the entire format, because people play it in casual commander a lot, but they also play it in CEDH. So you're combining those numbers, right? So wouldn't that apply to Korvald as well? Korvald gets played in casual commander, certainly, and it also gets played in CEDH. Super easy build around, super power, like everything I could come up with as an argument for what a popular commander is would apply to Korvald. And I would be right in that assumption, since it was the most popular commander in the format for a while. Maybe people are just getting sick of it. I don't know. Pretty shocking, though, that Giada is more popular than it, okay? Also more popular than Muldrotha the Gravetide, which, again, is firing on all cylinders. Easy to build around, powerful, all of that. Maybe it's one of those commanders people have gotten tired of. Maybe it's one of those commanders that people find, they get hated on for playing it. I don't know. Again, was the most popular commander in the entire format for a time. And this is the analysis. And I'm going to focus here on Giada a lot because I'm trying to figure it out. What I've said for a long, long time is commanders that are, more colors, always more colors. Again, I already gave you the numbers. That one goes without saying that more colors is going to be important. Powerful, open-ended, and an easy build around. Those are the kind of things that I think people go after as a powerful commander. All of that applies to Muldrotha. That's why Muldrotha was the most popular commander for a while, okay? Korvold, again, was the most popular commander for a long, long time for that reason. Golos also, which before it was banned, I imagine if it wasn't banned, it would still be the most popular commander in the format. All that applies there. More colors, lots of open-ended build around, powerful ability, all that. It all applies. Atraxa, which is currently the most popular commander. Those are all the commanders that have been the most popular. For all those curious, since I have been playing the commander format, Korvold, Muldrotha, Golos, and Atraxa have all held the top spot. Atraxa, of course, held the top spot when I first started playing and has regained the spot, a while ago regained the spot, and now it's not even close anymore, which is kind of funny that Atraxa was dethroned for a while and then came back more popular than ever. Powerful, open-ended ability, lots of colors, all those things, all applies here as well. Now, I know Giada is not the most popular commander in the entire format, but it is number 22, and I don't think any of that stuff applies here, right? We have a mono white commander, which is the least popular monocolor in the entire format for one. People don't like playing monocolors, although I will argue white is, that's right, I'm going to say it, the best monocolor to play in the format. If you're going to play a monocolor deck, for me, I'm going to play a mono white deck. I have 3 mono white decks myself because white is the color that has the most options for you to, I can't do this thing, I can't do that thing. All the other monocolors have things they can't do. I think white does everything pretty darn good. It does card draw, ramp, protection, removal, graveyard hate, all the things, hating on things in general, all the things you need to do in a commander game. I think white does them all pretty well. So you got that going for you, although people would argue that's not the case. And the fact that white is the least popular monocolor in the format, pretty much the least popular color in general in the format, that would make the case for people. If you haven't seen it before, again, the analysis here will help us figure this out. So 1 in a white, Angel, 2/2, Flying Vigilance. So your commander is certainly not scary. Each other angel you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. So it's putting +1/+1 counters on your angels. Obviously, it's a tribal commander. So it is tribal. That's great. We got that. That's one reason why it might be popular. Although I would argue angels certainly not a super popular tribe in the format. Obviously we can tell from the more popular commanders that dragons, I would say, is number 1. There's 2 dragon tribal commanders in like the top 5. You got zombies, right? You got vampires up there. Elves, obviously, more popular as well. Probably the most popular tribe in the history of Magic, I would wager. It's also a mana dork. Tap, pay 1 white, spend this only to cast an angel spell. So when I first saw this, and again, if we look at the statistics here, all the things that I think make for, why a commander is more popular, the arguments I get. Okay, the tribal one, yes, we've checked that box. It's not a precon commander. In fact, it wasn't even in a commander set. It was just in Streets of New Capenna. So that has nothing to do with it, right? It's monocolored, so that's definitely not helping it at all. It's just doing a aggro-y theme, obviously. You're just putting counters on your creatures and attacking with them. And aggro decks have really been hurting in the format for the last few years, actually. So that's not doing great here. Although I will say, you're doing angels, so they have evasion. So that's good. Is it open-ended? Not even a little bit. Is it really powerful? Maybe. I've played against Giada decks. They're pretty good, I guess. Your commander's cheap. I'll give you that. But again, if you look at all those commanders, the boxes that you are checking for Atraxa or Muldrotha or Korvald. None of that stuff really applies to Giada at all. So this is probably the most baffling commander for me ever. And in fact, I will probably be bringing this up for as long as my channel has been going. Benny Brax, which came out in the exact same set, which actually was in the Commander set. So it was in New Capenna Commander, so it checks that box. It's way more open-ended than Giada. It is drawing you cards. To me, this is checking way more boxes than is Giada. I mean, it's not even close. So these two coming out essentially in the same set, I thought Benny Brax would be like the most popular mono-white commander. Basically, you could swap them out. Benny Brax, for me, if I would have guessed back then, would be where Giada is sitting right now, and Giada would be where Benny Brax is sitting at rank 1413, with only 474 decks. I would have swapped these two. Is Benny Brax not way more open-ended? The card draw, all of that? I don't know. It's baffling to me. Giada is easily the most baffling commander for me as far as how popular it is in the format. Rank 22, that's crazy, guys. Isn't that a little crazy? And looking at this commander maybe will help to dissect what it is that makes commanders so popular, right? I mean, even if people just say, hey, Angel Tribal, that's great. Okay, but there's been lots of Angel Tribal commanders throughout the history of the game, and they weren't popular at all. They're not now, and they weren't before either. There was never an Angel Tribal commander that even cracked the top 100 for popular commanders. So, if that's just the argument, then I don't know if that is good enough as well to explain this. So what is it that makes a commander popular? Again, I checked a lot of the boxes, went over a lot of statistics, obviously. People like their tribal commanders. People like pre-con commanders. You guys let me know in the comments below. What is the reason? Why are the commanders that are the most popular in the format? You guys let me know in the comments below. That's it for today, and thanks for tuning in.